There's no song that we've ever had that never made it onto anything because the song dies completely before it's complete. Given that the first record is self-titled, what do you name your second record is fairly important. Our singer Thad, he didn't feel content with naming it after a song. He wanted the title of the record to be more of an all-encompassing description of what's happening rather than this one song is getting too much focus. Hellion, we kind of jumped the gun a little bit with it. It was early on. The whole releasing schedule thing wasn't really on our radar. I was in the middle of negotiations with Heavy Psych Sounds the week of us putting it up ourselves. And they said, yo, hey, pull it down. We've got a whole calendar to build around and put the song out the way it's supposed to be. My opinion is that everybody should always be doing Ramones covers. Until we're all extinct, we should be playing the Ramones. Money is always a measurement of success, and money has never really been that interesting to me. It gets boring very quickly. So it's all the other stuff that you get, the memories, the experiences, the accomplishment, the praise from others if they like your music. That's the stuff that is honestly more tangible to me.
They're the guitarist and bassist of a doom band from North Carolina. You may know them from their song Hellion, and their album Bleed the Wicked, Drown the Damned comes out September 26th. Please welcome Peter and Garrett from Cosmic Reaper to the podcast. How are you guys doing today?
I'm doing great.
Very well, thank you.
Yeah, awesome. I'm excited to have you on, hear more about this upcoming album. I'm ready and excited for its release coming up later in September. And so just to start things off with the kind of singles that are out from the album. I know it's Pot of Gold, Blood, Feather, and Bones is the most recent one. What made these feel like good tracks to lead off the album or give a kind of first taste to the album?
So I guess these are kind of the first three we've all written together. I mean, I'm a fairly new member of the band, joined a couple of years ago, and the writing process happened over the past 18 months, Garrett?
Not the last 6, but the whole year prior to the last 6.
Yeah,
at least.
And since then, has it been the recording, getting it down and everything, and the writing came before that?
Yeah, I mean, we recorded
February,
January of this year.
February time,
late January. I believe it was the last weekend of January, and that process is always very lengthy. There's always so much with mixing and sending masters back and editing, so that always takes a long time. And then, of course, just to ramp up to releasing an album, there's all the pre-planning, getting all the parties involved, putting a release calendar together. So we finished these songs late last year, and then right after Christmas put everything in motion full speed ahead.
Awesome, got it. And so with kind of these albums, I mean, pick one, break each of them down, but just for you guys, what's kind of your favorite from that set of the three?
From those 3 songs we've released so far?
Yeah, just from the singles, or even on the album as a whole, if you want to get into that. I just with those being the 3 kind of that we've heard, and then no pressure to have a favorite or anything. Like I said, we could just kind of dive in on each of them individually if you want, instead of picking.
Personally, for me, I think my favorite is Pot of Gold, the ones we've released so far. But off the album, I have to say there's a song called Parasites that I really like playing. So that would be for me. Awesome. I know Garrett's got a completely different viewpoint on this.
I'm pretty similar. From the first 3 singles, Pot of Gold is also my favorite. I think it musically stretched its legs. Pretty big step from, say, the last full length 4 years ago. It's faster. It's also more melodic. It's harder, but it's also more melodic. It stopped hanging out in that middle ground, and it went extreme in both directions. So I think that coming out of the dark when people haven't heard anything in a while and starting with a song that's really fresh was definitely a really good pick for a first single. And it is my personal favorite of the singles we've put out so far. simply because its uniqueness and its elements to kind of other genres that are kind of poking their head out there. As far as the entire album, my number one pick, um, it's probably a split between the very first track and the very last track. The very first track is the oldest track on the record. We started it years ago. Like it took 3 years to complete the song. It also kind of is the best blend of where we started and where we landed. So I think it's kind of got that crossing the bridge between old era, new era. And then the final track on the record is Waiting by the Gallows. And the record was actually almost titled Waiting by the Gallows after that track. And we axed that, but it's really cool. It's really big. It's dramatic. It's slow. Got a big ending. It's fun.
Awesome. Awesome. Yeah. Well, I'm excited to hear those once the full album's out and everything. I mean, it seems like the two of you love Pot of Gold. Is that the same for the rest of the band, or was it like a clear choice, like, oh, Pot of Gold should be the first single we put out?
Uh, I mean, I think, the song that we done the video for, Bones, was always kind of the one that we thought would be the single.
Yeah.
But I think, as Garrett said, we wanted to hit something completely different, but at the same time referencing back to what came before. And
Hmm.
Pot of Gold kind of really hit all those marks.
Yeah, not to mention, I mean, we when we each came up with a list of, hey, what's going to be a single, what's not. I think Bones was unanimously on everybody's list, all four of us. I think Pot of Gold was also on everybody's list. So Bones probably could have been the first single, but I think from the jump, Pete, correct me if I'm wrong, that's the one that Thad knew he wanted to do a music video for.
Yeah,
So
that was always his. Yeah.
So because the time it was going to take to get that ready, it had to be pushed to last, and Pot of Gold just came first.
Yeah. Awesome. Awesome. And so just take me into the actual, you mentioned how long some of these songs have taken, 3 years with the opening track. Just tell me about the process of like making this album as a whole, its creation. Was there a similar process of like songs that should make the album versus not? Just anything you can tell me about the project.
Yeah, I'll jump in first, and then Pete, add your thoughts.
Yeah.
That the story with that first song is, I think we've always been a little bit of perfectionists. We self edit, and we also edit each other. If something doesn't feel right, doesn't sound right, we cut it, we start over, say that's not it. So you go back to the drawing board. And that song in particular, it kept getting too long. There were so many different elements in it that it just wasn't feeling right. So we'd shelve it 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, just come back to it. Someone would start playing at practice and say, hey, there's really good bones here. No pun intended, the other song. Let's keep building on it. Let's go back to the drawing board. What works, what doesn't? Not to mention we had some personnel changes. So there was one guitarist we started it with. There was a second one that we started working on it. And then, of course, Pete came into the picture and finished it. So there was a lot going on with that particular track. But like that was very first thought up probably 3 years ago, if not more.
Got it. All right. Yeah, Pete, anything to add?
Well, I mean, as to the rest of it, it's all kind of been fairly holistic. We write pretty much as a group. I think you'd agree with that, Garrett. We kind of sit in the rehearsal room, we throw things at each other, and as Garrett was mentioning, we self-edit. Someone doesn't like something, it doesn't get in. So that tends to end up, songs take a little longer to write, but they tend to be more complete once they're done. Because then you haven't got to go through the process of showing a whole song to someone and then they cut it apart and then you do it again and again and again. So it's a proper collegiate writing team, I think, when we do this stuff.
Yeah, absolutely, fully agree. We there's very few, like there's no song that we've ever had that never made it because onto anything because the song dies completely before it's complete. So like if we're halfway through something and it's just not working like completely, we drop it, we don't go back to it. And that's happened here and there. So we never have a complete song that we're like, we finished it and it's not good enough because we're going to spend so much time on every track that it better be good enough.
Yeah. Do you have a process? Because I've heard of other bands like having a similar thing where like they'll like in the creation process for one album. So maybe like the self-titled album for you guys, they're like working on a song, doesn't quite make that cut, but like they like it, they keep it around, and maybe it makes the next album or a future album. Have you seen anything like that happen where like yes, it takes time, yes, there are releases between it, but eventually it'll make a project?
Not exactly. Uh,
Okay.
just with time constraints and things of that nature, there's just there's limitations.
Yeah. Are you a music artist looking to get your songs on Spotify, Apple Music, and basically every other streaming platform? Then you should check out DistroKid. DistroKid is a music distribution service. It's what I use to get all my music out across platforms, and I find it really helpful. You can manage your songs, lyrics, credits, and even manage releases across artists under one account. I don't think I would have gotten started as early as I did with music if it weren't for DistroKid. So if you want to get started, I'll put their pricing on the screen here. And yes, that does say the cheapest plan is at $2 a month. I know some of you spend more than that every day on your coffees. Like this is to get your music heard by the world. When we're getting off track, DistroKid has so many additional features like pre-save pages, getting your music onto platforms like Instagram and TikTok where people can put your music on their posts. If you use my link in the description, you will get 7% off any of these plans, making it even cheaper to get your career started, and so much more. So again, check out my link in the description for 7% off any plan. And now let's get back to the episode. Reading about this album, kind of learning more about it, I heard, and I mean like some notes I took, like moving away from older stoner elements, pushing the band's music further. Like, I mean, we've talked a bit here, like some of the old, but plenty of new. Like, what kind of is it about this album that's different from the previous ones, or how does it differentiate itself?
I think it's more direct, it's more concise. I think there's more of a vision in mind of where we're trying to go and what we want it to sound like, as opposed to the early days of being in a band where everything sounds good and you're kind of everything that's good is exciting and there's less self-editing. So it's a little bit more of a mishmash of styles. And then over time, you get a taste for what you like, and some things that you used to like you don't anymore. So
Hmm.
I think that we all have. It's just gotten more focused. Of we want this to be, in a broader sense, heavy metal. Heavy metal first, with elements added after that, as opposed to the really big ocean of what is stoner metal. Because that can encompass a lot of different things.
Yeah.
So I think we want to get away from stoner metal because that almost doesn't even describe what the band sounds like. It could be fast like Red Fang or High on Fire, or stoner metal could be slow and like Bongzilla. It just doesn't mean a whole lot. So sticking to classic doom, traditional quote unquote heavy metal gives it more of a direction, and I think the sound that we're all enjoying at the moment. My thoughts.
Yeah,
Mm.
certainly agree with that. And I think this record is probably got a little more harmony on it than the previous record, which Thad and I worked quite hard on building the harmony stuff up on the two guitar sort of attack that we're doing now, which I really enjoy. I think it adds a whole another element.
Yeah. Yeah, that's awesome. And I mean, like, I'm so excited for this album. Yes, but I do want to get into other things about it. Last kind of new album question I have here, because Garrett, you mentioned like it was almost named Waiting by the Gallows. When was kind of the aesthetic or branding of this set, like the cover art, the name, like when did you kind of settle on that, or how did that come about?
I We had an idea for what we wanted the cover to look like, actually well before we ever hit the recording studio. The cover was done by renowned Dutch photographer Nona Lehman, and we had come across her work quite some time ago, probably 2.5, 3 years ago, and we're just astounded at her photography and how all of it is. It's very dark. It's very scary and it's very kind of fantasy. I'm a big fan of castles and blades and dark things of dark fantasy type stuff. So that's she has those witches, blood, open fields, lightning striking, beautiful work. Check it out. So we knew we wanted to go with that. So when you have kind of an image in mind, or at least a theme of an image, you have a little bit more of direction of where your end goal is going to end up. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
So I think thematically, we've got a sound that we gravitated towards and ended up in. We've got the visual aspect. All that's left was really titling it. And given that the first record is self-titled, what do you name your second record is fairly important. And ultimately, our singer Thad just he didn't feel content with naming it after a song. He wanted the title of the record to be more of an all-encompassing description of what's happening rather than this one song is getting too much focus.
Yeah.
And that's where he came up with the title Bleed the Wicked, Drown the Damned.
Yeah, that's awesome. I feel like I'm always interested in album names because like there's obviously it feels like so much creative choice and like you have all this freedom to do whatever, but it usually I've seen boils down to like I mean usually debuts, but like self-titled, yeah, you could do that with the band. Like one of the song names, like there's usually a track with that, or just like or maybe a lyric from the album. And then some of my favorites are just like out there ideas or themes around the album. And it's like kind of the I don't know how I would describe it, like oh, kind of the vibe of the album, or like trying to wrap everything up in like one word or a couple words.
I've always really liked album titles that have kind of longer poetic names, 4, 5, 6, 7 words.
Yeah.
There's lots of great examples in music history, but those have
Oh yeah.
always stuck out to me as great album titles.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, yeah, and then I want to get into now some of the like live stuff. I know you just did a run with Temple of Fuzzwitch and Fell Ruin. What were kind of those shows like? Was it like nice to kind of or I'm guessing you played these songs live or some of them. So how was that experience to like kind of actually get out on stage and perform these songs? And just tell me, yeah, about that kind of run that you guys had.
Sure. Pete, you want to take this one?
Yeah, no, it was great to actually get those songs out live.
Hmm.
We've been playing them for what over a year now, so they're kind of old hat to us. But we've not actually done half of this repertoire that we did on this last run before. So to get those new songs out was really great, and the feedback we had from especially the other bands was, more than we could have asked for. It was really gratifying to get that feedback on those songs that we've written 6, 8, 10, 12 months ago. And they all feel really good. They feel like lived in songs. We're doing them as we do all the old tracks, and it just feels at home playing those things. Um,
Yeah,
so yeah,
awesome. Yeah. All right, great. Garrett, anything to add? Or
It was great getting to play with both of those bands. Definitely because it covered a really good sonic spectrum. Temple of the Fuzzwitch is fantastic. They put out a great record last year called Hypothesis. We had never met Fell Ruin. Really great guys doing really aggressive, heavy, artsy music. Made for some good camaraderie. We got to see a couple cities we'd never played before. All of them actually we had not been to. So it got us out of our comfort zone as far as the southeast, got us a little farther from home, and stretched in our road legs. It had been a minute since we were really, out of town.
yeah, yeah, awesome. Well, so just to kind of like jump into some of the other music you guys have made, move into like we mentioned, and keep coming back to the self-titled album. I mentioned it in the intro also. That song Hellion from the first album has gone on to be, I think now it's your most popular song on Spotify.
It is.
Um, and you had released it as a single before the album. Did you expect for it to take off in that sense, or like have this reaction, or just take me into that song and what it's done since release?
Sure. So Hellion,
Hell yeah.
we self-released. We kind of jumped the gun a little bit with it,
Okay.
just because it was early on. The whole releasing schedule thing wasn't really on our radar. So I was in the middle of negotiations with Heavy Psych Sounds, like the week of us putting it up ourselves. And they said, "Yo, hey, pull it down. We've got a whole calendar to build around and put the song out the way it's supposed to be." So it was very. I don't even know if you'd count that self-releasing as a real release because it was only up for a couple weeks.
Hmm.
And then we released it proper with the album art and announcements, just like we're doing on this cycle. I think Hellion was chosen as a single at that time simply because it had the most appeal with, the doom metal crowd. It's really slow. It's really sludgy. It's got a really evil vibe to it. It appeals to fans of bands like Electric Wizard and Windhand, stuff like that. Fans of those bands, including myself, they like something. How do I put this? There's a certain sound they like, and if it sounds like that, it works. If it's not broke, don't fix it. And I think that Hellion fits into that category of it's not broke, don't fix it. Just play it slow, play it evil, use those kind of chords, and people will like it. And to date, it's shown that it does.
Hey heroes, sorry to interrupt that podcast episode, which I hope you are enjoying, but I wanted to tell you about my clothing line, Quest Clothing. Ever since I started really pursuing YouTube and music and all these creative things that I do, I've dreamed about starting this clothing line specifically. I had the name, I had the idea like for years before I started it, and now it's finally here. You can wear clothes like this. I have sweatshirts available, t-shirts, even clothing for like my music with cover arts and lyrics and things like that. It's all super, super cool. And right now is the best way for you guys to support me across everything I do. So be sure to check out the Quest Clothing web store with the link in the description and follow at Shop Quest Clothing on Instagram for updates about collections, discounts, things like that. Anyways, I don't want this self-sponsorship to take too long, so let's get back to the episode. For like some other songs that caught my attention, I liked listening to Havana Affair, which feels very like kind of standalone on its own. It's like not really part of a larger project. Just take me into that. What was like the thought process of putting that together and releasing that?
So that song is originally by the Ramones.
Got it. Okay. Okay.
So that's why it sounds interesting and weird because it's a fast punk rock song from 60
Yeah.
years ago. I've always been a Ramones fan. Pete is also a Ramones fan,
Yeah.
and I don't really even know what spurred us to. Oh, it was a
It's the
compilation.
Abracadabra compilation. Yeah.
Yes, yes, yes. A
Got it.
a webzine podcast um, organization called Sabracadabra, named after the Black Sabbath song. They specialize in kind of underground compilation records. And I saw that they were putting one out for the Ramones, and I brought it to the table. I was like, guys, we got to do this. It would be so much fun to do something way out of the wheelhouse. Um, I think some folks were a smidge reluctant at first, but we got them on board, and we picked a track, and I think we knocked it out of the park. Ironically, like 2 weeks after we finished it, a huge announcement for a vinyl stoner metal, doom metal band compilation of doing Ramones songs was also came out. Completely unrelated project. So either a
Yeah.
bunch of people had the same idea, or we just were not lined up there. But I listened to that one, and it's great too. So my opinion is that everybody should always be doing Ramones covers until we're all extinct. We should be playing the Ramones.
Yeah. Yeah. And I didn't catch that it was Ramones. I know a couple that are more like big hit songs, and obviously just know about like the effect they have and the impact and how big they are. But yeah, I haven't heard that one. So that was awesome. Was it like a when you bring up that you hadn't heard them they're putting together this Ramones album, did you kind of approach them and be like, I want to do this, or how did you end up getting Havana Fair on that like web scene
I think
cover
they actually
album.
approached us to do it, didn't they, Garrett? They approached us with the idea of doing a Ramones song, and then we went away and kind of picked a song that we thought actually we could do a really good version of that, and we kind of threw it back at them.
Yeah, I believe
Okay,
that's how it went down with Sabra Cadabra. Yes.
got it. All right. Yeah, awesome. Awesome. And then just as I yeah, and the last kind of like specific projects like that I want to bring up is the I don't even know what to call it, split record I guess with Endtime on Doom Sessions Volume 7. Yeah, I had to go through the Roman numerals. But what was it like just making that project? Because I feel like split records you were seeing kind of like less and less now, but just take me into that
Sure.
project.
So, the Doom session is that's a specialty series that our label has been doing for hell, probably almost 8 to 10 years.
Hmm.
So that's something that they head up. Given that the label specializes in this broader genre, they've got a lot of acts, and it's a fun thing to do. Split records are less and less popular, but I think that in the metal, hardcore, and punk communities, they're still alive to a large degree.
Yeah. That's where I'm
So
seeing most of them happen nowadays.
yeah, and Heavy Psych, the label just said, "Hey, we'd like to pair you up with another band on the label. Say you've put out a full length. It's been a year, but you're not quite ready for another one. You've got another band that's in the same position. Let's put out a split. They're fun. People like them. And I think they did a whole nother one after ours because we did seven. I think
Hmm.
they're on number 9 now.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
so they've done 9 of those splits called the Doom Sessions, and I imagine they will keep doing them. And they're a fun project. As far as um, Endtime from Sweden getting paired up with us, it was kind of just a luck of the draw thing. The label approached them and asked them to do it, and we were happy to be on it with them.
Yeah. Awesome. Was there any like communication between the two of like making it one project, or what was it like you bring your songs, they'll bring their songs, and they'll just like put them together?
More like that, like you just
Okay.
described. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
There
Got it.
wasn't like a common theme of like, this is Doom Sessions Volume 7. Every song is about the sun exploding. There was nothing.
Yeah.
There wasn't a set theme or there wasn't a writing prompt put forward on that one.
Yeah. No, that's totally fine. And then just like getting more into the roots of the band, take me into like the either formation of the band or at least like then the evolution to this current lineup.
Sure. Hey, do you want to give him a little background with your history in the doom metal
Yeah,
scene?
sure. So, I mean, I joined the band 2 years ago, two and a half years ago now.
Hmm.
So obviously I'm British. I moved to the States about 4 years ago. I was in a couple of bands in the early mid '90s in the UK, very much in this kind of genre. Um, Went away, did a lot of life stuff, come back to the music, and here we are. That's how I kind of got involved with the project, and absolutely loving it. I mean, it's fantastic to be doing music again in this kind
Hmm.
of capacity. It's great.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah, and then well, Garrett, are you busy or can you
Sorry,
tell me more? No,
sorry.
it's
I'm,
no
I'm just
problem.
trying to get my phone charging here for you.
Yeah, no problem. I wasn't sure like if I didn't want to move on if you had anything else to add from it.
We're good now. Sorry about that.
Okay.
So I'm just gonna have to crouch down like this. It's outlets and like technology. It is what it is.
Yeah.
Um, you know, my background comes from punk rock, hardcore, metallic crossover stuff. That's always what I've gravitated towards for the most part. Um, Cosmic Reaper formed, I guess 18 or 19, maybe even 17. I've been asked this question and I always get it wrong, but I think it was late 17, early 18. It was started just because there was a void of bands that were doing this kind of style in Charlotte. Charlotte's a fairly large city for the southeast. There was a lot of bands we liked that were doing it. The city needed a band like this just to fill a void, and it was fun. And no one was doing a musical project at that point, so that's where the idea came from, and it's just slowly evolved over the years from there. The more bands you play with, and the more influences you get, the kind of the further down the rabbit hole do you go.
Hmm.
You've got plenty of big names in the wider stoner doom scene that are kind of everybody's starting point. And I'm not even talking about Black Sabbath, but just below that level. And after a couple years in, you start finding more and more things that you find deeper influence to, and they're just pushing things at a more extreme level. So I think that also kind of contributes to how the sound has changed over time.
Yeah,
Does
definitely.
that
And
does that pretty much covers it, right?
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
And
I want to make sure I didn't like go on a long rant and not answer the question.
no, 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 you didn't fine. Just like, yeah, I gave a good kind of like overview of the band's history basically, and toward so when you sense that void, when you get this band together, where does the name Cosmic Reaper come from?
In some kind of ways, it's just par for the course.
All right, yeah.
It's one of those things that you've got to it's got to make somewhat sense in conveying what it is you're trying to do. I mean, that's from album art, that's from logos. It's the same thing with old school thrash. Old school thrash bands have certain kind of names and certain kind of logos that let you know, hey, I know what this band is about. So if you're going to be in a doom metal band, there's a certain kind of vibe that you have to stick to so that people get it. And I think that's where Cosmic Reaper came from.
Yeah,
We
awesome.
had a lot of other names and none of them were good. So this
Okay.
Cosmic Reaper was the best one.
Yeah, awesome. And just in that, like I'm happy that after sensing this void, you kind of take the initiative. You want to form a band, get something going in your scene. If there's anyone out there listening who's kind of like that, like looking to start a band, join a band, anything like that, what kind of tips or advice would you give to anyone in like the early days of a band?
Early days is at least have some kind of desired goal. You can't achieve anything if you're not working towards a finish line. So, for some people that goal could be, hey, we want to play a couple local parties or basement shows to our friends and everybody mosh and have a good time. It's a small goal, but once you achieve it, you set a new goal and you keep moving on. You can set goals of, hey, I'd like to record one full length album. Hey, I'd like to have one full length album on vinyl. It could be I want one full length album on vinyl on a record. The larger goal you set, it gives you a further path to achieve it. Another thing for any band starting out is you got to stay the course.
Yeah. Consistency for sure. You've got to
Consistency
keep.
and staying the course.
Yeah, I think it's super important because I was just talking with, oh, who was it? I was talking with someone about this where it's like there's I feel like anything, any band, any artist in music, it takes a long time to find success. There is no like overnight success. And so you want to have that consistency and also a genuine love for it because in that long time that it could be until you find any kind of success, it's not like oh, I'm wasting my time. Oh, nothing is happening. It's like I'm enjoying this. I'm making music that I love. I'm having a good time, everything, and it's worth it, kind of quote unquote, when you get to that point or achieve whatever that goal is or that
I
level
think that's a
is.
point that gets missed a lot these days is you've got to enjoy it. You've got to
Yeah.
actually love doing it because, you're not going to get multi-million-dollar record deals these days. You've got to enjoy actually being in a studio with your mates, making noise. And
Yeah.
Absolutely.
and what
So
comes out after that is just added bonus.
yeah. So on that note, Garrett, of like the having a goal or anything, do you have a goal in mind, or does the band have a goal in mind for Cosmic Reaper?
It that's a tough one. I I'll say this. On a small scale, we've done a lot of the things I wanted to do when we first started the project.
Hmm.
Um, you know, we're about to have two full length albums under our belt. We'll have four releases on vinyl record. we've gotten to play New York and California. We've got to share the stage with a couple old school legacy acts that have been doing this for 20, 30 years. Those aren't huge goals, but we've got to do them, which is great. So at this point, it's kind of the great unknown and just seeing where the road takes it. I'm just taking it as it comes.
Yeah. Well, and even if they're not big goals or anything like that, they're your goals. So it's awesome that you've accomplished that, and that's kind of the most important thing of like keeping true to yourself and not like following a general standard of what success means.
Yeah, success means a lot of things to a lot of people.
Hmm.
Um, I mean, in our world, in a grander scheme, money is always a measurement of success, and money has never really been that interesting to me. It gets boring very quickly. So it's all the other stuff that you get that comes with it, the memories, the experiences, the accomplishment, the praise from others if they like your music. That's the stuff that is honestly more tangible to me. So hey, I did think of one goal. It would be really great to get over to Europe, which I know that we're going to try our best to do.
We are,
Awesome.
sure. I'd like to get to South America as well. I think that would be amazing.
South
Yeah.
America.
Yeah.
Okay.
Awesome. Awesome. Yeah. So on going off this kind of like live live show topic, do either of you, or I guess maybe it would have been Garrett, do you remember the first live show under the name Cosmic Reaper?
Oh yeah, 100%. It was
And
at a small little rock and roll dive bar here in Charlotte, called Skylark. I don't think the business is still going. It was a mixed genre bill. We were like really the only metal band on it, and
Mhm.
it was a really great show. The guys who were running the place at the time really helped push the local scene of, hey, this is their first show. Come see the first show. Like, that's kind of a draw. So
Yeah.
there was actually a pretty good crowd, and it was a lot of fun.
Awesome, awesome, yeah. And then I guess for either of you now, is there since then, maybe including that one, a live show that you've done that's like stuck in your mind or kind of been your favorite live show as a band?
Pete, what do you got?
I think there's probably two for me. The first one will be we did a couple of festivals for Heavy Psych last year. We did Baltimore and New York, and the Baltimore gig stands out as a classic. That was really
Hmm.
really good. We were tight as hell. Um, I think it was the first one we'd done heading up to the Northeast actually as well, wasn't it? In Baltimore as well. So it was brand new crowd, brand new vibe. That was great. And then I would say probably I'm going to say the second Seismic Summerfest we did. I really enjoyed that show.
Okay, yeah, that was a good one.
Awesome.
Um,
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I also really had a lot of fun at the Baltimore show for Heavy Psych Sounds Fest. I believe it was at the place called the Metro. Great crowd. Sometimes you get up there and you play, and it is what it is, and it's fine. Sometimes you get up there, it's a little lackluster, but sometimes you find your groove, and everyone kind of functions as a true unit. We definitely did that night, so that was a lot of fun because regardless of crowd reaction, when you're up there and you can hear that everything is falling, the pieces are where they're supposed to be, it's going to give off good energy and it's going to keep compounding and building on it. So that was a really good show. Had a lot of fun at that one. Um, we played a local show here opening up for Asheville's band Basque at Snug Harbor. Snug Harbor is a local pirate themed kind of rock and roll dive bar. That was a sold out local gig, and the crowd energy was really, really great that night. So that one always sticks out as that was a really good show at Snug Harbor.
Yeah. Awesome. Awesome. And just kind of going even even further back from there, and maybe there isn't another answer or anything, but do either of you, or did either of you kind of have any career dreams, aspirations of things to do outside of music, like even when you were younger, like as kids, were what I guess what would it be if not music? What would you be doing?
So I'm probably the other side of that now, actually. I wanted to be an astronaut, but never got there.
All right.
But yeah, no, I did music in the 90s, went off, had a career in doing other stuff, and then came back to it. So I'm
Awesome.
reliving my youth, which is fantastic.
Yeah. And Garrett, no pressure to have an answer, but just is there an answer?
I, you know, I it's tough to say.
Yeah.
You know, I want to say by sixth grade, I mean, what, 12, 13, music was the only thing I wanted to do by that time.
Hmm.
You know, I think even at like my when sorry, I'm having in middle school in California, we had like a graduation but prior to going to high school, and you had to like write down and say like on a stage what you wanted to do. And even
Hmm.
at that time, I was already like wants to be in a rock band and play music across the world. So it was like that was pretty much it. Um, Outside of that, I think I wanted to be an army man, but then I realized the military sucks, so I didn't do that.
Yeah. Yeah, fair. And yeah, I think um kind of similar, I guess, or maybe a bit older than 14 or 15. So I'm sure I had known. So I knew I had kind of a love for music in general. Like I love listening to music. I had favorite artists. I had a music taste, everything. But freshman year of high school was when I took my first like music production class and learned about that side of it, and like actually was like making learn that you can make music like without instruments, like computers were involved in it, and that was super cool to me. And from then on it was like, all right, this is the thing, this is what I want to do. And so
It sounds
yeah.
like you've been bit by the bug.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. And I mean, yeah, I know we were talking a bit about it before we started recording and before P came on, but just like, yeah, it was a like I'm ready to just be in and around music. The goal is producer, the goal is making original music, but like anything around the industry, and like I'm still learning more about the industry. I'm in college now and took a class on like doing live sound work, which I hadn't considered before coming to college, but like fell in love with them from that class, and now I'm like, is that a career or a scene that I want to get involved in? And so it's just like always just like learning more and falling more in love with it.
Have you ever seen the movie Almost Famous?
I haven't, but I've been recommended it and like have heard about it, and so I should probably get to watching it.
I mean, it's a great rock and roll flick. I highly recommend it. I think it should give you a little bit of inspiration, if not insight, on the rough side of the music business.
Yeah, which unfortunately I know plenty about that also, and I've learned about that. So kind of the double-edged sword, but yeah, but I'd love to get into that. I love watching anything with music, like music documentaries, movies, dramas, like anything like that.
Yeah, it's fun
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah, awesome. And then, so I guess just moving into like you talked about with like a release plan for this album, I feel like for a lot of bands, artists, probably even labels, there's that pressure to like go the new like social media route with everything like that. And how do you guys kind of think about social media as a band, or what's Cosmic Reaper's like approach to the like self-promotion on social media?
Pete, what do you think?
Well, it's it's the way people consume new music these days, right? I mean, social media is where everyone goes to find out about what's coming next. You can't ignore it. We have it. We use it. For this particular run, we've got the album record label. They're pushing it their side. We have a PR agency over here in the US pushing it their side. We're doing it ourselves. So it's kind of a conjoined movement between three parties at the moment on the advertising side of things. In terms of content, it's kind of ad hoc. We don't want to add too much out there on, especially Instagram is the main one that we use. I think it's the main one most bands in our genre use. But we're very conscious that we don't put too much on there. We know a lot of people can do 3, 4, 5, 6 posts a day, and it kind of it waters down
You
the
get
message.
lost.
Yeah, exactly. So I'd rather it be once or twice a week. We have something that people actually look at and kind of remember.
Yeah.
And even when
twice a week is
sorry,
plenty.
go ahead.
I was just gonna say twice a week is plenty.
Yeah, and even when you put out, because I'm a fan of like artists and bands that do every day, sometimes multiple a day, and it's like even when I'm a fan of them, I'm feeling like I'm missing stuff, and it's like, I don't want to feel like I have to constantly catch up with or keep track of like all these different artists that I want to see all the content from, and so I've
The flip side of that is the content creation. It takes a long time, right?
yeah, yeah, definitely. And that's something I've even like struggled with of like one the like finding time to just make all the the content or like actually creating it and the logistics of all that. But then also with like not only schedules of like how much to post, what do I post? It's also I'm trying to be I'm trying to think about like if I should use all social media is kind of the same or separate, which now I've gone towards that separated one of like my Instagram is for like if you follow me already, you've already known my music, my podcast, whatever then, and then TikTok is kind of like a just like blasting my name out there, trying to get new eyes and using it as like a discovery platform almost.
Yeah, TikTok's something we've not really delved into so far.
Yeah. No, it's
Honestly,
a weird one.
I'm just not comfortable with it personally.
Yeah, that's fair. Awesome.
I don't know. It just doesn't seem like the right channel. I could be wrong. Maybe we're missing out. We're
But
doing fine
I
without
mean,
it. I don't know.
Yeah.
and the theme we keep coming back to is like personal taste or like what feels right personally. Like um it starts a conversation of like, should I do this even if it feels wrong, or is it better to like, I mean, there is an unknown and maybe nothing would come from it, but like the possibility of missing out on um any attention it might bring because that's just what you want or that's what feels right to you. And I think that's probably more important of the just like authentic feeling of no, that's not for me, and then ducking out of it.
Yeah.
I mean,
You hit the nail on the head. It's the authenticity of it, right? I mean,
Hmm.
for us, if we tell someone once a week, that's probably more than enough for us. We know that the world is different, so we do 2 or 3. But we're not the kind of people that shout every day about it. That's just not the way that we are.
Yeah.
Um, I
Well,
guess
eventually
you
it gets into a burnout conversation of just feeling like you're
yeah,
shouting into the void. Like having some days off probably helps with not just like, feeling like you're constantly yelling about it and getting whatever and
yeah.
and and just like
You run the
seeing
risk of
what
annoying
progress you
people,
make.
right? I mean,
Yeah.
every 5 seconds your name's flashing on their screen. I know I
it's
turn that
yeah.
off.
It reaches a level where it's more like spam. I mean, I think of it just kind of like a visual email. There's brands, companies that I absolutely love and support. I don't want to see 2 emails a day from them,
Yeah.
even if I love what they're putting out. It's just annoying.
Yeah,
Yeah. Sometimes depending on the company, I don't want to see emails at all. Like I'll like you got me. I use your product. Like stop emailing me.
Yeah.
Yeah, awesome. And then so just for some more, I guess like hypothetical things to kind of start wrapping things. Or actually, I have one more question that I want to get into, which is if someone's like listening to this, hearing about you guys for the first time, what is kind of a song you would recommend as like an introduction to Cosmic Reaper?
that's a good one for you, Garrett, because you're coming from both albums, so you can kind of pick.
And
If you're
maybe
just
it is just the latest single, the latest album, whatever it is.
Yeah, I mean that's ultimately would be my pick. Just listen to Pot of Gold, start there. If
Awesome.
you know, that's where to start. That's what we're pushing now. That's what we're going to be playing. That's what you're going to hear if you see us live. If you pick something that's from 5, 6 years ago, there's a chance you're probably not even going to hear it. So,
Yeah, all right.
I got to learn it as well.
yeah.
Yeah. And then so now just to kind of start wrapping things up here, if I and either of you can answer, or both of you, if Cosmic Reaper kind of got this chance to collaborate with any artist, any band in the world, who would each of you want to collaborate with on a song?
Oh,
And feel free to have multiple answers also. It doesn't have to be just one.
good God, that's a question and a half. Wow.
I've, I can think of a metal answer and I can think of a non-metal answer.
All right, let's hear them. You
All right.
can do both. I want to
Okay.
hear both.
Non-metal answer is Lana Del Rey.
Interesting. Awesome.
Yeah. I'm a big fan. It's that music's dark and it's right, completely different spectrum sonically, but yeah, I'm a fan.
Non-metal for me would be Depeche Mode.
Okay, there you
Nice.
go.
Yeah. And then for I guess I'm for well, let's hear the metal answers, and then maybe like looking back on any of them. I'm just so curious as to like what these collaborations would sound like, or like why these are the picks.
When you say collaboration, do you mean like collaborating on a single song, or do you just mean
On a
working
song,
with?
like yeah,
Okay, on
like
a
let's
song.
say yeah, and somehow you get approached and it's like, hey, Cosmic Reaper can work with Lana Del Rey, can work with Depeche Mode, and you guys are gonna get in the studio and make a song together. Like what was, I guess, just in your mind, the like the what were you thinking of, like what a collaboration would look like with her?
She would do a guest vocal spot over one of the real slow brooding parts.
Hmm.
That's how it would go down in my brain.
Awesome. Yeah. And I think it'd fit great. And then Peter, for Depeche Mode, what do you think that sounds like?
I think they'll be working on a song together from scratch, kind of actually
Hmm.
writing something together. When you listen to some of their music, they've got a similar kind of vibe to some of the stuff that we do. And I think blending that electro with what we do would be amazing.
Yeah. Awesome. And do we want to get into metal answers also for these, if you each had them?
Yeah, I'm always been a fan of guest guitar solos. Guitar solos
Hmm.
in a song that like are not out of place, but you can tell like somebody else did them.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if we could get Matt Pike, the living legend guitar god himself, to do a guest solo spot on a song, that would pretty much do it for me.
Awesome. Yeah.
I'm going to go with Garrett's answer. That's just perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If we can get Bruce Dickinson to sing over the top as well,
Yeah, there you go.
we're
All right, yeah.
golden.
So Matt Pike, Bruce Dickinson, Lana Del Rey, Depeche Mode. If you're listening to this, want to work with Cosmic Reaper, let's make it happen. Awesome. And then
Let's make it
kind of
happen.
the other question to start wrapping things up here, and I know maybe we got into it a bit, Garrett, with like you bring up your goals and everything, but do either of you have a bucket list of like venues or festivals you want to play live as a band?
I think for me, I'd love to play Red Rocks in Colorado. That's always been one that I'd want to play at. In terms of bands, anyone that we can get out with, really. I mean, I'd love to go out with the Corrosion and Conformity guys. I think that would be ideal for us where we are right now. I think that'd be beautiful. Down would be great as well. Just kind of thinking where we are in terms of our music and all, the audience that we hit. I think that would be great. And festivals that come up all over the US every year, right? I mean, just to get onto those big festivals is fantastic for us. In fact, we're doing one this weekend. So, yeah, we're starting. We're moving in the right direction.
Awesome. Yeah. Yeah, Garrett, anything?
As far as like specific fest, I don't know if it'll ever come back or where it went, but Psycho Las Vegas was like the big
Ooh.
deal in the metal world for many years. And like, I never got to go. And I know a lot of people who did get to go, and they said it was just an absolute out of control, bonkers time. So if Psycho Las Vegas or some iteration of it was to ever come back, to play that would be an absolute privilege and bucket list item for sure.
Yeah, yeah, that sounds awesome. And I mean, both are great goals, and hopefully you keep doing the U.S. tour circuits for Peter, and if that ever comes back, Garrett, I better see Cosmic Reaper on the bill
Absolutely.
for that. Awesome. Well, I mean, thank you both so much for coming
Yeah.
on. Those are all the questions I had for you today. So I had a great time learning more about the album, and I can't wait to hear the full album when it comes out on September 26th.
Awesome. Heroek, I appreciate you.